Alright, so I know that YouTube should be streaming. I just have to check Twitter, how that's doing. Alright, Twitter's live.
Shocking.
Yes, it should be working, I think, and has the right name. Yes, it does. Let's go. Alright, so we are
That's a
currently
first.
looking at Cyclone. Tuna, what do you think the pronunciation of this is?
Cyclone. Yeah, I'm,
Dikeledi?
I'm not even gonna try.
Dikeledi?
Dikeledi.
Mm-hmm.
Dikeledi, I think.
Yep. Which is
Uh,
doing a lot better right now. I mean, there's a lot more of these convective bursts. You can see a lot more of this purplish, pinkish color firing up now as it approaches its landfall.
Thankfully, it doesn't have too much time to strengthen, though,
Yep.
because it's very close to land.
I believe the center is somewhere in here, just west of these new convective bursts. The sun is setting where they are right now. It is around 5 p.m. ish in Eastern African time. Alright, good. YouTube is streaming. So, of course, this is not the end for the system. There is the possibility it goes in, well, I mean, it is likely going to go into the Mozambique Channel and re-intensify. Kind of. There's a possibility it runs into Mozambique first. Let me see if I can get the Mateo France cone up.
The matter of how the curve goes, because it's supposed to curve at some point.
Yep.
We just gotta we gotta just watch. Does it
Because it could
curve
go very
early?
far north and hit
Does it
Mozambique.
curve? Does it curve early, or does it start its curve late so that
Yep.
it does impact land?
So yeah, of course, it looks like the Mateo France is forecasting it to once again become a Category 1 or 2 system as it nears Mozambique, and then likely be a Category 3 equivalent system in the Mozambique Channel. We'd be hoping it misses Madagascar when it goes out to sea, but there is the possibility if it curves too early, like you said, it'd impact Madagascar. It needs to find the middle ground in between curving too early and too late. As if it curves too late, it would impact Mayotte and Mozambique, both of which have been really hardly impacted, or really badly impacted from Cheeto earlier this, or late last year.
These areas do not need anything else.
Yes.
They need time. They need plenty of time to recover.
Yep. But yeah, Mayotte should get some sort of impacts out of this, at least tropical storm force winds. This is the latest Joint Typhoon Warning Center cone, and the blue lines I'm highlighting right now is the forecasted track for tropical storm force winds. Oops. And then if I... There we go. Okay, so this is if it just follows the center. Of course, this could shift very well. For example, up here.
This will definitely shift at some point
Yep.
because we all know how. Ew.
Speaking of shifts, let's take a look at the forecast trend. How it's been shifting. Or wait, can we even look at that? Let me see if I can find it. Don't think it exists on this. Dang it. Alright. Oh, here's the latest HWRF run. I'll bring that up. So it does have it making landfall as like a Category 1 cyclone. And then since it makes it over to water within like, let's say around 6 hours or so, because there's not much land for it to cross. Of course, that will weaken the system, But then once it enters the Mozambique
I don't
Channel, it
know.
will have a lot of time to re-intensify again. There's Mayotte right here, getting impacts from the northern eye wall. And then the HWRF run has it going into Mozambique as likely a Category 1 or 2 system, and then going back in the Mozambique Channel and really intensifying again, possibly to a Category 3 or 4 system. If we pull up satellite, doesn't really get its act together because Mozambique really cuts the chances of it strengthening, but then when it gets back over water, it does have time to intensify again.
And it just explodes.
Yes. I'm going to pull up its conditions over the next few days. Here it is. Actually, I'm going to use Ensembles instead. Alright, right here. I'm trying to see if there's anything of a trend. There isn't really. It's been following it pretty closely. I think it's gone more north, actually, than expected. Yeah, because initially it was forecasted to hit right around here. Then it's moved a bit north. But overall, most ensembles do want it. This is at least the American ensembles do want it hitting Mozambique before going back out to sea, which means it does have it avoiding most of Madagascar. But Mayotte will get impacts from this. Sea surface temperatures are nice. They get warmer in the Mozambique Channel. Shear, I think, is really the only thing that's uncertain because moisture's good. Shear, it's going to be spiking pretty soon and then lowering for it to intensify. Then when it's over land and then back out to sea, it's pretty variable. It might actually be moving slower than the forecast track because I can see that there's new convective burst around here. If that is on the northeastern eye wall, the center would be somewhere around here, which means it could be moving slower, meaning it would have more time to intensify. Uh, yeah, that could be the case. Yeah, I mean, there's clearly some sort of color that keeps firing up on the northern end of the system. So that makes sense if the center was somewhere in here. We do have microwave imagery of the system. I don't know when this came out. This was as of 12:53 Z, so this is like 90 minutes ago or so. We can see that the whole northern eye wall is completed. It is just missing that southern end that hasn't completely wrapped around. That's been the case for a while now. This was yesterday. Mostly the northern eye wall is complete, just the southern side hasn't finished, and that's been the case up until now. On microwave imagery, this is kind of like radar. It does show the fact that it had a decent band over here impacting Madagascar at this time, which I don't know where that's going to be. My guess is it's this right here. Not really that strong. Dirk Steve's in chat. He says hi. Hi, Dirk Steve. How are you doing? In terms of moisture, this is pretty good, and there's not much dry air impacting the system. The dry air is all to the east, which it's moving away from.
Which isn't too good.
Um,
Not the best. Or
Nice for the system to intensify, not nice for
nice.
Madagascar and
Yeah.
everywhere else. Alright, here I'm gonna pull up some of the other mono runs. Well, this is what the winds were showing. I guess the stronger winds could be on the south side. I don't know because microwave imagery showed the northern side having an eye wall together, so it's hard to say. Uh, this was as of 12Z. Okay. Yeah, I'll show model data on the system. Uh,
Would I say this is worst case scenario for these areas? No, but would I say this is not ideal? Yeah.
yeah.
They have been much worse.
Yes. But I mean, this is so far the strongest system to impact Madagascar directly as a landfall. Cheeto thankfully missed it. But this system should be a weaker version of Cheeto when it impacts Mayottes. We're hoping that Madagascar can really tear up the system.
Problem is they know how to handle a cyclone
Yep.
this well.
Hello?
Because if it's like
Oh, hi,
the
Crazy.
North, if it's like New England, then
I haven't looked at anything yet.
Alright.
Ah, so it's sheared?
Is it sheared right now?
Yeah, it's sheared.
From the
That's...
east, right?
Yes.
Yep. How strong do you think it is, Crazy?
Probably minimal hurricane still. I believe it's
Oh, okay.
weakened.
Huh? What did you say about weekend?
It's. I said it's not weakened.
Okay, alright. We had a microwave image from around 90 minutes ago that I can show you over here. Oops. Here it is.
It's actually stronger than it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is sheared, but diurnal maximum is probably helping it a bit.
Yep, that's when convection fires the most. That's why there's so much purples and pinks on infrared imagery.
Yeah. So there's a chance that this thing goes crazy in the Mozambique Channel, but it looks like models... I think the Jersey set took it a bit further west. So,
Towards Mozambique, correct?
Euro... The Euro still disagrees. I'm sure. If it can just avoid Mozambique, then it should have a decent life in the channel.
Mm-hmm. And like Tuna was saying, that there's a lot of curve potential and like how early it curves, how late it curves, that will really
Yeah.
determine what the system does in the Mozambique channel.
Yeah.
The European model shows like the earliest case scenario on curvature, curving towards the south very early, impacting the west coast of Madagascar, and almost making landfall in southwestern Madagascar. Would that have any sort of dry air issues because of how close it is to Madagascar?
Definitely.
Alright. The American model does have it going on the far western end of the solution, impacting Mozambique, and then coming out as a weak system, but potentially intensifying due to the front there, or turning post-tropical. Is that correct?
Let's probably just do jet interaction by that point.
Okay, yeah. Canadian model. This one shows the easternmost solution as well, way too east, hitting Madagascar again, torn apart. And then the German model, still showing more on the east.
Interesting, a lot of the models showing east means that that's probably the more likely solution, I'd imagine.
Yep. I'm gonna pull up some ensembles on here. Okay, what happened? Warning, warning. Alright.
Go to weather nerds and look at
Yeah.
ensembles. Oh wait, or you can see it here. Okay.
Yeah, over here. The European ensembles, like, none of them show it hitting Mozambique.
Yeah.
But if I go to the American ensembles,
Look at 0Z.
uh, nope, not loading here. I'll just show it on Weather Nerds. Alright, so we have people in chat there. Wolf3 says hello. Dark Steve says doing good. How are you? Or, well, no, sorry. Good. I just woke up like 30 minutes or an hour ago. VD Ben says hi. Lee Baller says hi. What will do past Teleria, Madagascar? I'm gonna see what that is. If that's a place. Okay, that's a city in Madagascar. Alright, Crazy, what do you think the impacts could be in this location? I'm gonna show it over here. It's in southwestern Madagascar.
So I just
I don't think there'll be much impacts because I don't think it's a very likely spot for it to actually hit.
Mm-hmm.
for like 5 minutes. Discord was having a stroke, so I
Jeez.
couldn't hear you guys, and
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk, it wouldn't go through.
Oh, wow.
Like, so
Wait, there's still visible imagery of it?
Yep.
Oh, shoot. Hold on.
Yeah, the city is right around here compared to the European European run.
I mean, I guess there's a chance of impacts, but I don't think, like, for you guys to get major impacts, it would have to track over land for a while, and that would literally negate the fact that it
Yeah,
could
weaken the
bring major
system.
impacts. So, like,
Rainfalls would be the
yeah.
more larger concern. Let's see what
Yeah,
else is
wind
being
shouldn't
said.
be a big issue.
Lee Bowler says Dikeledi is bigger now. What do you think about its wind field? Is it average,
Its wind field
smaller?
is still probably decently small.
Here's what the Joint Typhoon Warning Center shows in terms of wind field size. Say not that big. On Storm Shield, it shows Category 2 curve on Mozambique Channel, then ending at Category 2 at end of channel. I don't know what Storm Shield is. I need to figure out what that is.
Storm Shield, oh, it's a really old app, I think, that is, like, on your phone.
Oh, okay,
It's
alright.
probably just using the official phone.
Thank you. Yep. Let me change this to miles per hour.
right at is there a website rather?
Yeah, like,
Storm Shield. I don't know if this is the correct one. I'm not downloading your app.
But yeah, I mean, the latest Joint Typhoon Warning Center is showing a 90-mile-an-hour peak in the Mozambique Channel, so nearly Category 2. Do you both think it's too low?
I don't know if it's too low or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Say
It could
it's
be
probably
Cat
too
2,
early.
could be Cat 4, it could be Tropical Storm. There's a lot of uncertainty
Or it
with
could
it.
just be dead.
Yeah.
Like
If it
anything.
rides along too close to Madagascar, the system could really fall apart, like the Canadian was suggesting.
It really just depends on how the
Mozambique is
curve
a bigger
goes.
problem than Madagascar is.
Yeah. Would it be
It
because of
really
more
It doesn't
dry
get
air
depends.
or what?
resources naturally. No, because if it goes over the landmass, it literally loses circulation.
Oh yeah.
Like, so. Yeah.
Joint Typhoon Warning Center is forecasting weakening in this phase. Do you think that's correct? Because I've been noticing some ensembles wanting it to actually intensify as it reaches towards southern Madagascar.
Yeah, that is not correct. That
All
should
right.
strengthen there.
These also due to the jet interaction.
Yes.
Oops. Okay, yeah, they said it's a weather app. Yep.
Weather
Yeah, I
app that
had
I
it a
do
very
not
long time
Mhm.
ago, and now I don't.
weather app that I do not have the storage for to check.
All right, ensembles. I'm gonna pull this up. So this one would be at 060. Hold on, I have to do my math again to get their local time. When do you think the landfall is gonna be?
I think landfall is. I'm gonna head out of here before landfall, by the way.
All right.
But looks like probably still a little bit away. Well, a couple hours away. It looks like
Couple hours. Wow. Sorry.
2 hours.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna
Or
add
like
an hour.
absurdly. What?
I'm gonna add an hour because I had like 12 minutes left. Because based on their track, that's
Oh
when we're
yeah.
supposed to make landfall.
I'd say like an hour and a half, maybe.
Yep.
It isn't moving very fast. It looks like so.
It's definitely not the half hour that from earlier. Definitely not that.
Yes. Yep. Thought I was gonna make landfall pretty soon, but it is moving slower than forecasted. That could mean
Yeah.
it could intensify further.
Not really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
sheared now.
It
So
doesn't have much time to do anything.
yeah. Oh, the official intensity is 75 knots.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah. I saw people saying that it's likely 75 to 80 knots right now.
I mean, that makes sense. Even though it's sheared, it still does have a better MW presence than before for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
And there's microwave imagery. Reminds me of what Tammy looked like near the Leeward Islands. Just
Sort
flipped.
of.
Or, actually, it was just like this, but just flipped on one axis. How the northern end had the,
I don't know. I've seen a billion different sheared TCs look
yes.
almost like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very common appearance for
Yep.
microwave. This is what I would expect Category 1 to look like on microwave. This is what I
Yeah.
expect. Now, if you go to last night's MWs, you'll see a disaster under the hood.
This one?
Complete disaster class. Not there earlier. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. I
Yeah, or
think
the
this
one
was the
just
one
after.
that you were talking about.
Yeah, like, that is not what you expect any hurricane to ever look like under the
Yep.
hood. So,
Mm-hmm. Alright, so ensembles, let me figure out the timing for this. So, 06Z, right now it's around 12Z, 7 a.m. for me. That would be around 3 p.m. for them. So, 18Z is their nighttime. Alright, that's what I need to figure out again. Alright, so this one would be Saturday morning. That's this morning for them. I'm going to zoom in even further on the tracks. And that's Saturday morning. That is their Saturday night. Saturday night, it shows it being over Madagascar at that time. Then if I go towards Sunday morning, it should be in the Mozambique Channel. A majority, almost every
Yeah.
ensemble has it in the Mozambique Channel at that time. And then at around noonish for them on Sunday, that's when it's near Mayotte, the closest approach to Mayotte. And then at around Sunday night, it should start to leave the area. On Monday morning, that's when it starts to get close to Mozambique. And then Monday at around noon, I think, noon to night, is when it's the closest approach to Mozambique. And that's really the make or break. You can see how wide the ensembles spread. Some very close to Madagascar, some all the way near Mozambique. But most of the ensembles are somewhere in between. And then Tuesday morning, it is now strengthening. Most of the ensembles have it strengthening near major status. And then this one would be Tuesday night. You can see some ensemble, or basically every ensemble is now starting to curve. And then the ones closer to Madagascar are starting to approach a landfall.
Look at how wide the range of intensities are.
Yeah, you can see some of these pinkish colors, a lot of pink, which is the major Category 3 status. Then you have some of
Category
these
3.
blues, some of these yellows in here, which is just a tropical storm.
No, but look.
Mm-hmm.
Look here. Do you see some of the numbers?
Oh yeah, 950, 935, 927, 979, 983.
926. 926. Do you see it?
Yeah, here, I'm going to zoom in even further. There's the numbers, 927 there. 926, yep. So you can see all the solutions here that are like major hurricane or major cyclone intensity. A lot of
No,
these.
H4 had 911 last night.
Wow. What would you say the pressure is for a major cyclone?
Out of this system?
Yep.
Um, I would say probably just 950s, like a usual system.
All right. So yeah, most ensembles here do have it reaching major status.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hop off here. Actually,
All right. Well, thank you so
I
much
think
for
you're
joining in, Crazy.
welcome. We'll see it.
All right. So yeah, there are so many major ensemble runs, almost the same amounts as ensemble runs that don't have it becoming a major. So I think that this shows a pretty good chance that this could become a major. Don't you agree, Tuna?
Yeah.
Let's see, can I zoom out? Whoops. And this is on Tuesday nights. Most of the ensemble runs have it at major intensity. Then going in towards Wednesday morning, some ensemble runs have it plowing into southwestern Madagascar, but most of them are on the western end, right in here. Most of these numbers you'll see towards the center or western edge of the Mozambique Channel. And then this one would be around Wednesday at noonish. Again, ensembles are becoming the closest approach to Madagascar. And then by Wednesday nights, actually by around Thursday morning probably, is when it's starting to leave the area. And then beginning to speed off down towards, back out to sea in the Southwest Indian Ocean. But overall, you can see the tracks here mostly trying to avoid both Mozambique and Madagascar, which this would be good news. It'd really just be the outer bands, and if it's the closer approach, it'd be the eye wall. Lee Baller says Dikeledi looks like Cyclone Megan 2023. Let's pull that up. I think I know what they're talking about. Yep, this system. Pretty good, but not really an eye feature, just like this system.
It is similar.
We have a few more frames of visible imagery before it turns dark. Right, and then someone else says, I mean, it can turn back into the back of Madagascar. Yep, that is a possibility. Some of the ensembles do show it impacting the backside of Madagascar once again. So it hits it twice. The closer it is to Madagascar, the weaker it should be, just due to land interaction. The farther away it is, the stronger it will be, and then if it's too far away, it will be weaker just for it hitting Mozambique. The American ensembles do show a wider variety. These aren't as certain. Some of them do have it hitting Mozambique and then going out, but you'll see that the colors vary widely from the storms in the Mozambique Channel and the ones that actually hit Mozambique. The ones that hit Mozambique are in the greens, blues, somewhat yellows, but the ones that don't, they're all yellow, orange, and pinkish. But then the ones that get too close are in the greens to blues. Too close to Madagascar, I mean. Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecasts mid-landfall Category 1. I think they're talking about right now, is they aren't forecasting another landfall yet.
I'd say it's either gonna make landfall or brush like really close land to
Brush the what?
Mozambique.
Mozambique, yeah. The European and all the other models, except for the American, is here's a look at the American versus European. Or, well, no, these are the Canadian ensembles. Canadian has it curving pretty much the earliest. Has it riding along Madagascar its entire life. Which really prevents any strengthening. The only strengthening are the
Canadian,
things over here.
Canadian. Every single storm that I've tracked with the Canadian, it
Mm-hmm.
goes like 100 miles away from where it really the
Yeah.
Canadian ensemble. They always go 100 miles away from where the storm actually goes.
Yep. You can see the
So
very big difference between the American and the Canadian runs. The American run does show some of the ensembles impacting Mozambique, but they do have it kind of just brushing it.
and the Canadian had Milton hitting Fort Myers.
No, that did not happen.
That definitely did not happen.
Yep.
Hit Siesta Key.
Mm-hmm.
I know it said Lido Key, but I saw on the map it said it's Siesta Key.
Yep.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So really, if you're anywhere in this little shaded area, you need to be watching the system pretty closely. I would extend it out a little bit further over here into Mozambique, just in case the system goes on the northern edge. Because there is indeed the possibility it does go farther north and does more than just brush.
It really just depends on how what the curve it
Yep.
when it curves, when it
Mm-hmm.
turns.
There's a lot of A lot of possibilities. Europa Island. I don't know if anyone lives there. Alright, it says it's just an atoll. Alright, there are no permanent inhabitants. Okay, that's good. Because that would be really the main landmass that would get potentially major impacts out of the storm. Oops. But really, the American deterministic run is the only one that's showing a landfall in Mozambique, but it has it significantly weakening. Goes from 977 millibars all the way down to 997. It spends less than 24 hours over land and it drops 20 millibars in intensity.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at what's causing it to move in certain ways. First off, we have this ridge over by Mozambique, and this is what's been keeping it more north. Because typically systems will like to curve down towards the south and hit, down towards the south and hit Mozambique, or sorry, Madagascar like this, or just go down to the Mauritius and Rodriguez, those islands, or Reunion. This one has been kept pretty far north, just like Cheeto. Oops. So the ridge is there again, which is what's keeping it more north. Then it starts to open up into a trough, right in here, I believe. That starts to tug it down south. There's the trough right over here, which is what's pulling it down south. They want to merge together. And then there's the really powerful trough right over here that then just pulls it away. So I'm going to compare that to the American model because the American model wants something completely different. I don't know what it is exactly that they want so different. I don't know. I guess that the ridge is weaker over Africa. Right in here, you'll notice less of this orangish color on this run. Which is why it may be getting pulled there, but it does want it to curve sharply east again. The trough doesn't fully pick it up. It kind of does. Alright. That's a rough interpretation of on why it's going the way it is. And so it says, yo guys, what about PETA? Tuna, have you heard of that storm?
No.
It is this one, this random one over here in the South Pacific.
Pita bread?
No, no, no.
Pita bread?
It is just the cyclone. PETA.
I don't even know where that is. I can't even think. I don't even know where it is.
Here it is. Compared to us, this little
Oh, well,
blue
that's
thing.
not
Oops.
going. That's not doing anything.
Nope. Oh god.
Yeah, that's not going to do anything. It's a fish storm.
Mm-hmm. Really, it's
Two
only the
fish
Cook
have
Islands
died,
getting impacts from it,
unfortunately. Probably.
but it's very weak.
Pita and Cook. Wow.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of arguments in the weather community trying to figure out when it became a tropical cyclone because it was merged
Yeah, I
with like
like
a
to
little
avoid
trough.
those.
So people didn't know if the
I like
circulation
to
was good
avoid that.
enough.
I like to just avoid those arguments
Yep. It's a
because
lot
I
of
don't.
subjective stuff. People have their own
Because I want to keep my
interpretations.
brain. Because that's like a way to lose a brain cells, just arguing
Yes.
with these people.
Yep.
If you ever go on Discord
Mhm.
servers,
Yep.
just avoid those arguments because you're gonna lose brain cells.
Mhm. Lee Baller says, "What a weird
It's
name Dikeledi is, but I like it." Yep. Dikeledi.
yeah,
And then he
that's
says,
not that's
"Pita is
annoying.
sloppy." And then Dark Steve says, "Slop pita." What were you gonna say, Tuna?
There's been a lot of weird names.
Yep.
I mean, even then, the Atlantic has some weird names also.
Milton.
Milton, of all names, if I'm gonna get devastated by a hurricane, if I'm gonna get damaged from a
You
hurricane, which
think of
I
something
did
like
get damaged
Isaac?
from Milton, Milton, nobody's gonna run from a storm named Milton. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's Milton hitting us.
Yes.
Like, who names their kid Milton?
Mhm.
Genuinely,
Yep.
I wouldn't name my kid Milton.
Yeah. I think it's just very old names. Or wait, no, wasn't it? Didn't it replace like Michael?
You replaced Michael,
So I don't know why they came up with that.
Which clearly Milton is not going to last too long.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm shocked that's not the I name storm this year.
Yeah.
Because normally it's the I storm that
Mhm.
pulls a Helene or Milton.
Yeah, it would have been if potential tropical cyclone 9 formed, or that whatever, or 8s, whatever that one was, the one
Yeah,
by the
eight.
Carolinas.
Yeah, eight just died. It didn't get exactly together. So
Yep.
Helene didn't become. So Helene would have been Isaac. Milton would have been Nadine.
Mhm.
Milton, I was shocked about. I did not expect something like that.
Yeah.
That was like I went around just to see how bad the flooding was.
Mhm.
I got plenty of videos, but
Yeah.
my neighbors, because I just moved to this neighborhood like not too like a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
I asked a few of the neighbors who have lived here for a while, like
Mhm.
20 years or so. This was the worst flooding from a storm
Wow.
that this neighborhood has seen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tampa got it really bad.
Yeah, I was 3 miles away from an extreme wind warning,
Wow.
and
I was chasing the thing and I missed the extreme wind warning because it was
you
to the
missed
north.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the eye. They didn't get an extreme wind warning. It was just to the north.
So the north was the worst part of it.
Yep. The north was the worst winds.
I would say we definitely got like category two wins.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. That was not. Yeah.
Mhm. Dark Steve says Hermione is the worst Atlantic name in my opinion.
Hermine?
Hermine, or yeah, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, that hermit crab?
Yes.
Like, that's like the first thing I thought when I saw that name.
Yeah.
There's some weird names.
Really everywhere. Like, uh, let's see what I'm thinking about. Manyi,
Which then
Yinzing.
you have the Western Pacific where you can't even pronounce them.
Yes. I think I love the Australian names. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up the naming list.
Idalia? I don't know. I had a
Yeah.
hard time pronouncing it. That's like
Iseas,
one of the Atlantic names.
Isaias, Isaias.
I called it Isaiah for 2 years until I realized, oh wait, that's Isaias.
Yes.
2 full years. Which I
Australia
got
has
into
some good names in my opinion. Annika, Billy, Charlotte, Darian, Ellie, Jem, Herman.
to be announced.
Yeah, TBA. Freddie. Remember that storm?
Oh, that was quite a
Yep.
that was quite a thing.
Mhm.
I think I remember looking at this was before I had an account. I think I remember looking at your Twitter account for that,
Yep.
Freddie.
Yeah. There has been a new convective burst that's been wrapping around on the west side. You can see it right in here. So that means that the center is probably somewhere in here, would be my guess. And this is very difficult determining where the center is.
Definitely not the best looking storm.
Yep. This one shows it at around almost 70 kilometers away from landfall, maybe 60 kilometers away. Probably less than that. Alright, in terms of elevation the storm has to go through, I'm gonna see what this is. Only around 600 meters high. That still is quite a lot. Not next to sea level. That'd be around. Okay, is there any way I can get feet? Nope. There we go. 2,000 feet up. So that's a lot for us, tuna.
Oh, hold on.
hmm Mozambique, the elevation isn't as bad if it did hit there. Of course, it doesn't really matter what it does over Madagascar down here. Elevation isn't really that high. I'm going to try that again. Yeah, really, the worst elevation it's going to be going through is what it's going through right now. Oh, yeah, I can pull up a Madagascar topography map. There we go. Yeah, of course, the northern part is going to be the worst. And then it gets less and less as you go farther along the western coast of Madagascar. Not as much elevation. Dark Steve says Freddy was the craziest storm I've ever tracked. Yep, same for me. Ooh, this is a good thing to show the European ensembles right here. So this shows what intensity they think it will be. Uh, yeah, so anything of this orange color is category 3 or stronger. So really mostly everything in this area. Some ensembles show Cat 4, even Cat 5 intensity, which is quite interesting. Of course, the stronger ensembles are actually the westernmost ones, and the weaker ones are going to be the ones too close to Madagascar.
Oh, hold on.
hmm Right, we might have gotten a new microwave frame. I'm gonna confirm that. Yeah, I think we did. Let me refresh this. No, that's. Uh, Let me see because they look like they're around the same. All right, let me see. 1253Z. Oh yeah, it's the same exact thing. This shows a good area on where the center is. It's around 12.5 degrees latitude or longitude. Latitude, I mean. Oh wow, it's very far north. Up around here. So it is on the northern extent of the cone. Meaning that if you follow that through, it's going to be. Of course, it could very well correct itself with time. But it has been going more north than forecasted. Even made a wobble to the north recently. So this is giving the storm more time. It's probably going to be more than just 33 minutes.
All right, so this has nothing to do with the cyclone, but for California, 98% chance of a major earthquake.
Oh no, do not trust that. That stuff's all fake.
Oh, really?
Yep. Oh my
I haven't
god.
really paid too much attention, so yeah.
No
All
worries.
right, now I
Do
know.
you see it on Twitter? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Did
Oh
you
wait,
see the
there's a
community
new.
note?
Oh, that new. I didn't. I didn't scroll down enough. There's no scientific basis for this or any earthquake prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk. Quakes are always possible in places like California, but specific forecasts perform no better than random
Mm-hmm.
when tested. This user has posted similar claims every few days since 2009.
Yeah. Yep. See, I got 215,000 views their post on it. Oh my god, his posts are just so. Uh, of course, he's getting a lot of engagement by saying Los Angeles.
That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Just using disasters to get views and
Yep.
engagements. It's disgusting.
Really, the probabilities need to be shot down a lot.
Don't mind the cat. I hear ya.
Oops. No, wait, click that. Alright.
Don't mind the 4-year-old in the
No
background.
worries. But you can see on this imagery the convective burst right down here. Very well, you can see the defined line. So yeah, the center is probably somewhere in here, would be my guess.
What you was doing? We're putting her hair on your head.
Hello,
Hello.
Riley.
Oh wait, did Riley join?
Yeah.
Oh, hi Riley.
What's up?
What are your thoughts on this system, Dikeledi?
Well, excuse me, but I've not been tracking it too much. I just kind of looked at it a little bit yesterday, and I was seeing
what its future is. It looks like, obviously, right now that it has undergone some intensification. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I've not been tracking it, but based on the appearance, it appears to be at or near Category 1 intensity as it's making a landfall on Madagascar.
Yep.
And then it's expected to reemerge into the Mozambique Channel, where it could potentially rapidly intensify there.
Yep. Those waters are pretty warm, and do they have good oceanic heat content?
Yeah, you usually get one good intensifier a year in the Mozambique Channel between January and March.
Yeah. Does it have good oceanic heat content? Riley? Oops. I'll pull that up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
All right, I had technical difficulties.
No worries.
Yes, it does have good OHC in the Mozambique Channel, especially the northern ends and the coastal areas.
Right there.
If a storm sat there, if a storm sat, near the exit for a couple days, or actually,
Mhm.
that's a pretty significant amount. That's more OHC than it normally has. That's
Yeah.
definitely enough to where if the conditions cooperate, that the storm will be able to blow up if the conditions cooperate, like the shear and all that.
Yep.
I don't know what the shear is going to be like. Is it going to be low? Is the outflow going to be strong? If so, then it could definitely have the potential to rapidly intensify.
Here, I'm going to pull the oceanic heat contents on Dapaya. How is this?
Highest in the whole basin.
Yeah. Yep, right in here compared to everywhere else in the Southwest Indian Ocean. This is just compared
The
to
big channel is no stranger to
the
having
Mozambique Channel. Yep.
no stranger to having majors.
Mm-hmm.
As you know,
Oh, here's the latest microwave imagery. What are your thoughts on
looks
this?
good. Looks like something that would be fighting moderate shear while developing coming to land.
Yep.
I don't know what the
Alright, I'm gonna
intensity
go
is.
in. The 4-year-old's in here, and she's being a brat. She won't leave, so I don't really feel like having to have her talk in the background. So
No worries.
I'll join
Okay.
back either when she leaves the room, or I
Mhm.
won't be able to.
No worries. Thank you, Tuna.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Alright, you're welcome.
As I look,
Riley, here's the look at the shear in terms of ensembles. What are your thoughts on this?
well, it seems to go pretty low once it gets down into the Mozambique Channel. But then again, this is the GFS only showing one
Mhm.
model. Then it ramps up and then it goes down again. So
Yep.
this seems like a deal to me where, like most Southwest Indian Ocean storms, how strong is the outflow going to be, right? If
Yeah.
that outflow is really strong, it can overcome some of that shear, and we may get a strong system out of it.
But
The
if the outflow
Mozambique
isn't
Channel,
strong,
then you may get a sheared Cat 1. The Mozambique Channel is famous for having storms go boom and having storms bust.
yep.
So, kind of like the Bay of Bengal in a way. You
Mhm.
get a little bit of both. You don't get the monster like you do in the Bay of Bengal as often. There's a couple in the past that you can make a case for, but there's just not. It takes more to go right because of the little bit of room that's there.
Yeah.
But when things go right, the Mozambique Channel can
They really
definitely
go right.
produce a. Yeah, when things go right, the Mozambique Channel has been known in the past to produce some pretty intense systems.
Mhm. Also, the system's supposed to have a jet interaction, right? As it goes down towards, as it leaves Madagascar.
Yeah, if that's the case, it could end up. I would take the higher end solution of those if that jet interaction verifies to the extent of what's shown in that ECM run. The only thing is, it seems like it comes quite close to Madagascar there. So if it takes more like the current JTWC track
Yep.
with the then it's going to be over water sufficiently enough where land's not really going to be an issue. It's basically taking the best path through the channel it can at that point.
Yeah. I found it interesting that the Joint Typhoon Warning Center wants it to weaken, has it at around 80 knots here, then down to 75 knots, then down to around 60 knots.
Well, I can agree there on the last point because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be entering cooler water and a higher shear,
Yep.
and maybe even a little bit of interaction with Madagascar, especially if it goes a little east. But
Mm-hmm.
the one where it went down from 80 to 75, I'm not so sure. As of now, I wouldn't say it's the same, but I think that the peak may be higher than that. So it's hard to
Yeah.
say.
They went kind of on the middle ground in between the system completely busting and completely exploding.
Right.
I feel like after it leaves Madagascar, we should have a better idea on what the structure will look like.
Right. If we enter the Mozambique Channel with some sort of structure intact, look out.
Yep.
And the shear is low,
Mm-hmm. It has around 50 miles of Madagascar to go over. Not a lot. But I mean, the terrain is pretty high in some spots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like, imagine another major right after Becky and Cheeto. So this one could be the third.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think surge is going to be a concern at all?
I mean, I'm not really sure what the coastline of Madagascar is like there, but I would think that there might be a bit. As far as afterward, later on, I don't know, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to be a big deal with it staying offshore and not really blowing up until about 36 hours into the channel,
Mm-hmm. And what side do you think has the strongest winds as of right now? Because, I mean, microwave imagery shows the northern eye wall being intact. But in terms of wind estimation, this is purely just estimation. It shows the southern side having the stronger winds.
That's based on the fact that it's pretty much
Moving.
assuming, right, and it's assuming that, the southern eye wall's not open. Given that it is, it would be hard to see it actually having the strongest winds there. But then again,
Yeah.
you have to remember when it was weakening,
Mm-hmm.
consistently it showed the northwest eye wall, I believe, holding the strongest winds. And
Yeah.
I believe, like, for microwave, that was the only spot that was open for, like, a whole day when it was weakening. And that was still the
Yeah.
strongest spot. So you don't really always know. But based on what we do know, it doesn't appear that way.
Yep. Because I know that this has to be inaccurate because there is not only 35 knot winds on the north side.
Yeah, now that I doubt. So you're saying where there's an eye wall, there's barely tropical storm winds, and where
Yep.
there's no eye wall, there's hurricane force?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So you'd say that most likely the northern side would have the strongest winds as of right now.
Likely, yeah. Yeah, those wind estimation things are based all upon a combination of things like surface observations, which there probably isn't any in this area,
Yeah.
and satellite estimates and stuff. So it's not really something to go by, especially
Yep.
not after 50 knots or so.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, though, the winds are blowing offshore, the stronger winds, which would minimize surge right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Because if the center makes landfall here, the strongest winds are pulling away from shore, and the weaker winds are pushing onshore. That's the better case. And of course, hopefully it weakens enough so that way the winds aren't much of a problem when they're blowing onshore in the west coast of Madagascar. And rainfall, is that a concern?
I think rainfall's always a concern. And right now, it's probably more concern for Madagascar than it is for Mozambique because take a look at the path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once it emerges, you're gonna still have those outer bands bringing rainfall, obviously to Mozambique too. But to parts of Madagascar that have already been getting rain now. Those
Yep.
outer bands are going to continue to just. It's like it's going to be. There's going to be times where the rain may be light or moderate, and it may even stop for a couple minutes. But it's just going to be days of rain where the
Yep.
ground is going to be very saturated. So you're probably going to have some flooding, especially in the mountains and the valleys.
Mm-hmm. See if we have this run. This is just a model run. This is the higher resolution run, just for the next day. Thankfully, it doesn't have too high. Well, actually, that's quite a lot. 9 inches, almost in a day in northern Madagascar. And then areas that aren't even really getting a direct hit are getting around 7 inches, 6 inches of rainfall. Mayotte gets around 5 inches of rain. Thankfully, though, the highest amounts are out to sea at around 15 inches.
Yeah.
This European run has it quite close to Mozambique. I know that the current one doesn't. This would lower rainfall rates near Madagascar just from it being too far. Would you agree?
Yeah.
But I know
Still,
that
though,
the
you would probably
latest
still see
run
some.
right here has it pretty close its whole life there, so the bands are just continuously hitting. Like right here, you can see a band. Go forward again, you can see another band hitting. Go even more forward, you can see another band right in there. And then it finally leaves. Rainfall totals on this run. Yeah, I mean, they're high for most of Madagascar. They're getting at least 2 inches all throughout this purplish color. This thankfully avoids Mozambique nearly entirely. Right there, but there's some spots that are at least 200, 300 millimeters. I don't know how many. Okay, that's like 8 inches to almost a foot of rain just along the west coast.
Yeah. And these areas are always prone to flooding as well.
Yeah.
Mozambique, Madagascar are some of the areas that are most affected.
And the higher elevations as well, right? Because of more rainfall.
Yes, yes.
Yep. The Canadian run has it a little bit too close to Madagascar its whole life. Do you think that that's a possibility?
Yeah, but if that happened, then it obviously would be weaker
Yeah.
than even if it was closer to Mozambique. It's one of those deals where the trough is going to influence exactly how far it pulls. Like you have a stronger trough
This one
influence
right
pull.
here, right?
Yes, you're going to have the jet interaction stronger, but it's also going to pull closer to Madagascar.
Yep.
So ideally, you want to track similar to what the JTWC has.
Yes. Staying in the middle. Oops. Staying in the middle, but then getting closer to Madagascar towards the end. Which I'm really hoping it doesn't hit Madagascar again. I'm hoping that it can avoid all the land masses. But it's like it's very difficult. If it goes too far west, it's going to be hitting Mozambique. If it goes too far east, it's going to be hitting Madagascar. Needs to find the right middle ground. Do you think it's a possibility it could hit Mozambique?
Yeah, but I would say it's less likely than yesterday.
Yeah. And why is that?
Well, it seems like it's going to favor the simply by getting stronger, it's going to favor the more eastern parts because it's going to feel the trough interaction more.
All right.
As you can see, the cone obviously still accounts for a brush, but now most of the models have shifted a little bit east because if they expect the interaction to be a little bit stronger, it should like sort of begin that easterly recurvature a little bit sooner. That's why
All
you've
right.
seen the model shift a little bit east. If you'll look yesterday at the GTWC track, they was further west into Mozambique.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember that.
So it's been a general shift
Mhm.
from most of the models in the forecast.
Yeah. I have noticed though that the system is a little bit more north of forecast. It centers somewhere around here.
Yeah.
It's kind of made a curve towards the north. Does this affect the track at all?
If that continues, then it could. But given the fact that it's crossing land right now,
Mhm.
I would wait to see where the center emerges because they could pull back together. It could be pulling apart because of the
Yeah.
land interaction. So I'd
Yep.
wait to see where it is and where it tries to get
Mhm.
together once it's over the channel.
That's when we should have a lot more track confidence and intensity confidence at that point,
Right.
because we don't know what the other side of Madagascar or what it will look like on the other side of Madagascar.
Right. If it maintains some intensity, then we might be in for
Mhm.
getting a rapid intensifier.
Yep. Grenadine's Death says if you look at Dikeledi a few hours before, it looked ragged. Now it looks more smoother. I'll pull that up. I think he's talking about this presentation right here versus now.
Okay, it looks like the storm is. Okay, go back to the start.
Yep, right here.
Okay, at the start, the storm there is at the start of a VHT pattern where it was struggling with moderate vertical mid-level wind shear
Mm-hmm.
and mid dry air moisture. But as you can see, as it advances, it gets a little bit of that topographic boost, and it
Yep,
starts
right
to
in here.
organize a bit as it's coming in. And it starts to organize a bit as it's coming in. As you can see, it's kind of that's a look that you just know, So
Yep. And firing very powerful VHTs. Powerful
mhm.
convective burst.
It looks like the ULAC may have aligned a little better,
Mm-hmm. So that's
which
why it's gotten more
can be
smoother and larger.
explained. Yeah. Which, if that can stay that way when it merges into the channel, then it's going to have a shot at becoming a major.
Yeah.
And it seems like so far in the South Indian,
Mm-hmm.
we've had eight machines. Like we've started above average with a Cat 4 in the preseason, and
Yeah, Cheeto.
then we
Or
had
wait, no. No, it
Cheeto,
was before Cheeto. It was before
we had
Becky.
Becky. That was just a regular tropical storm, and then we had a Cat 4 in the preseason, then we had just a regular tropical storm,
Mm-hmm.
then we had Cheeto, and now we got Dikeledi. So
Yeah.
these are solid ace producers. Like for example, I went back and I looked at Cheeto,
Mm-hmm.
23.9 ace. That's 25 ace before even the turn.
Wow.
The South Indian doesn't usually start really cranking ace till January, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
really good season so far.
What would
And
be
it
the
seems like
average by before the turn of the season?
25 ace or so. It
Wow.
was at like 40 when it started
Yeah.
the year, and right now I think we're going to get probably 10 or so ace out of this one right here.
Wow.
There might be another one. I have to look at the models though.
Here, I'll pull it up. If there's anything showing up. Not on there. I'm just gonna look at the deterministics, then I'll take a look at ensembles.
Yeah, see.
Nothing really
So the
there.
JTWC is taking a blend
Mm-hmm.
of the GFS and the Euro. The GFS still shows this thing hitting Mozambique.
Yep. If I go over
Oh
towards.
look,
What?
the GFS is showing another Australian system that won't happen.
Alright. I could have sworn that when I was on my trip or whatever, there were people posting about a system hitting Australia that the GFS wanted
Yeah,
so
there was,
badly.
and it never even.
Yep.
The GFS, Australia is the only place where 6 times a year models will show like an 890 millibar Cat 5 hitting, and it never even developed.
Yep.
And if it ever does, it's going to be in April. Now, if it shows it's happening in April, then I'll believe it happening. But it does not happen
It's because of
before
the
then.
convective feedback, right?
Yeah, but also because of the fact that oftentimes the Australian region actually is favorable to have this happen, but the
Oh, yeah,
storms end
yeah.
up over land instead of water.
Yeah, I mean, I remembered
Like, if
Ilsa
you
was
could
the one
take,
that the GFS nailed.
if you could take two land masses out of the world, if you could take the Philippines and Australia out, you would literally have double the monsters.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Right. How large do you think, like, the wind field is for Dikeledi? Is it average? Is it near average?
I mean, it's hard to say, but I would say it's probably pretty average.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think the wind field would be like in the future? This is the Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast I'm showing.
Well, it's not showing it becoming super large,
Yeah,
but it should, in theory, become
bigger than now.
bigger than it shows. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe not at first, but later on as it's developing.
Yeah. Oh, here's the European. I'll show you the difference between the 0Z run. The 0Z has it very close to Mozambique, then curving out, and then if I pull up the 06Z, you can see that sharp difference towards Mozambique to towards Madagascar.
Mm. That's something I'd like to see if it shows up in more runs.
Yep. This was a sharp difference right here, just from one model run.
Hmm. About 5-10 minutes, I'm gonna get off of here.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to say about the system?
Not really. We'll know more once it gets into the Mozambique channel
Mm-hmm.
and the system merges there. We'll be able to determine exactly how close to Madagascar or Mozambique that it's going to go, and
Yeah.
then how strong. But it does appear that it's likely to become, intensify at least somewhat there. How
Mm-hmm.
much remains to be seen and where it goes and all that, and we'll know more about that tomorrow once we have a clear emergel.
Yep. How long do you think it will be until it makes its landfall in Madagascar?
Well, it don't seem like it's going to be very long at this point.
Yep.
Probably about an hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I was expecting it to make a landfall at around 30 minutes ago, like the forecast track was showing. It's supposed to already be over land right now, but it's going slower than forecasted. And also a little bit more north than forecasted, so it has a little bit longer to try and organize. Do you think it's going to intensify at all in the meantime?
I mean, there is a little bit of room, but not much. It's just going to mostly be, friction-induced convergence.
Yep.
So I think you could see some intensification, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think you're going to really see a lot.
Because I've been seeing some people say it's around 75 to 80 knots right now. So I was wondering, is there the possibility it can become a Category 2? Or is that wishful thinking?
I mean, it's hard to know because when you get these systems developing and you don't have recon, you
Mm-hmm.
can get a 50-knot storm that ends up being, a solid hurricane, and vice versa. You can have something that's weaker. I
Yeah.
would say that it's possible, but I would say that you won't see it from the JTWC if it does.
Yep.
So right now, I would say that I would generally expect to stay where we're at the landfall, and then when we emerge over the Mozambican channel, then
Mm-hmm.
you'll know more about possibly what the future holds for it.
Yep.
So,
All right.
anyways, I'm
Well,
going to
thank
get
you,
off of here,
Riley.
but it was nice being a part of the stream.
Yes, thank you so much for hopping in.
All right, no problem. And like I said, great to be on the stream. And until the next one.
Yes, thank you. All right, see you, Riley.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lee Baller. Thank you for clarifying it. It is a cyclone, not a typhoon. Typhoons are in the Western Pacific. Yep. So this is Cyclone Dikeledi, and we call it a cyclone because it's in this region of the world. Remember, if you have any questions, you can all ask. And yeah, it's not a Category 4 right now. It is likely a Category 1, maybe nearing on Category 2 as it approaches Madagascar. Should make landfall sometime within the next hour or two. So probably need to up the forecast. I'm gonna ask around real quick, just see. Sorry, what time it should make its landfall. Oops. Alright, yeah, I'm seeing some people who believe it could be a Category 2 right now. I'm not so sure about that. Structure doesn't look too great right now. The southern eye wall's a little bit busted open, so not doing too hot right now. Of course, it could definitely become much stronger than that in the Mozambique Channel. I don't think it's really Cat 2 right now. It could certainly intensify if it stalls long enough. Oops, it doesn't give me that kind of appearance, if that makes sense. Oops. Oh, wait, no, wrong system. Alright. Since now it has become night for those who live in Madagascar, so now we aren't going to really get any visible imagery. And there's the sunset. So there's the last visible imagery, and now we're into darkness. Let's see. Devin says, hello in the UK. In the UK, I'm from UK. Excellent coverage, by the way. And what's your screen annotator called? Can you explain what you mean by that? Thank you. And then JC Game says, at Chase, hey, I love this stream, but why does Dikeledi not have an eye? So, how tropical cyclones work, basically, they try and form the eye at the surface. This is what we're looking at right now on this imagery, is way up from space, okay? We're looking at the top of the storm. Like, let's see, if I go to visible imagery from earlier, this is what the top of the storm would look like from space, basically. So you might not see this completely, because as a person, you're way down, you'd be like way down here, or something, and you wouldn't really be able to see the top of the storm, because the tops of the storms are tens of thousands of feet high, if that makes sense. And how tropical cyclones work is that when there's an eye, it needs to clear out fully, all the way from the surface to the tens of thousands of feet all the way up. And how they work is they will try and clear out an eye on the surface and then work their way up. If that makes sense. If we're looking at a vertical thing, as this is the surface, and like this is 10k feet, and then this is 20,000 feet, and then so on. the eye could start to clear out in the surface, but then there's going to be a lot of clouds that then start to whoops, let me actually undo that. And then there's just some clouds that fizzle out over it and you can't even see the eye at all. And then if you're looking at from space, you cannot see it, if that makes sense. Hope that can kind of answer your question. And then another thing that can cause that is if there's wind shear, meaning that there's winds blowing the eye, so instead of it being a straight line, it'd then be tilted, and then it'd start fizzling out. So then you won't be able to see the eye at all because it's well, actually because if you're looking at it top down, you're not going to be able to. Oops, sorry. Jeez. Okay, sorry. Trying to get this to work. You won't be able to see the eye cleared out because the eye wall's blocking it almost. Stuff like that. The convection, the cloud starting to fade over it. So when systems are weak like this, they don't really have an eye on satellite, but they do have it on microwave imagery. This is something, if you've ever seen stuff like radar imagery on how high the rainfall rates are and stuff like that, this is basically a satellite that makes a scan on the storm that shows us what the storm looks like under the hood, basically. The hood being all of this. And so it does show us that it does have an eye right in here. It's just, it isn't that well defined. You can see it's kind of open on the southern edge. And if it's not really that organized here, how are you going to expect it to be that organized on all the way up here? Now there has been little pokes of the eye. You can see it right in here earlier. And that's because of the lack of convection, the lack of clouds, on why that was appearing. As soon as the clouds started to burst, then they cover up the eye. But they kind of do a burst in a way that kind of reveals the eye, if that makes sense. You have burst surrounding the eye, but not directly over it. So that's how you can see that the stuff is wrapping around this way, but then it accidentally wraps over the eye. But yeah, it's somewhere right in here. Somewhere right around here, I'd say. You just can't see it on satellite imagery because satellite's so high up and the eye isn't that organized all the way up. Let's see, I don't know what country that is. Let me see what that is. Oh, Madagascar. Yeah, Timorin, Saja, yeah, I'm hoping that it avoids Madagascar. Devin says screen annotators like a screen pen. Oh, okay. So this one tool that I'm using right here is called Page Marker. This helps out a lot on how I can just draw, and it always resets to red, so that's why I'll use it a lot. It can also add text, so if I want to say I or something like that and just move it over the eye, whatever, that's helpful a lot. But I also have a second one called Draw on Page. This one helps because if I hold shift, I can draw a straight line, which is very helpful instead of accidentally doing a curve and then my hand on my mouse does a little swiggle or whatever. So if I'm trying to get like the track line, for example, I just hold shift and then try and see where it goes like that, instead of having to draw it and not do a good job. This tool has a couple other things, but overall, yeah, that's helpful because if I want to, for example, look at this, and I'm trying to draw the wind field, I'm not going to do a great job like this, but I can do a better job if I'm holding shift, and you can see a better job of that. So those are the two tools I use. Once again, they are Page Marker and Draw on Page. These are pretty helpful to use. They're on Chrome. Yeah, they help a lot. And Darian says, Hi Chase, hi Chase. Hi, how are you doing? Hope you are doing alright. This January 11th. Happy New Year, by the way. JC Games says, Chase. Okay, thank you for the explanation. You are welcome. If you have any other questions about the storm, you can always ask, and I'll be happy to explain it. I love helping people understand the storms and how they work. Endarian says, ECMWF, aka the Euro Run, uh, predicting it to be 140 miles an hour is unexpected. So yeah, the system is expected to and potentially intensify if it plays its cards right. If I go back over towards southern Africa, we take a look at it. The European run does want it if it's organized enough as it exits into the Mozambique Channel, right, as it exits Madagascar. It could really get going into a Category 3 or 4 strength system. But if it's too close, like if we take, for example, the Canadian run, has it exiting and right over Madagascar, the system's going to get torn to shreds. So there are a wide variety of solutions. You can see it on this. Right in here, there are some greens you'll see, which is only tropical storm hidden underneath some of these runs, but some of them show stuff like Cat 5 strength, Cat 4, Cat 3. So there is the real possibility this thing really gets going. Let's see what else. Lee Baller says Cheetos microwave looked like high on for a second. Well, I don't know. I don't remember that. Shelby says, hi Chase, hi Shelby, how are you doing? Happy late birthday, by the way. I remember that. Remember you saying something about that. Grenadine says, is this season trying to be 2018-19 season 2.0? Seeing how we already have 2 intense tropical cyclones and maybe a third one coming? Maybe. I don't want to animate it necessarily, because I don't know how... I mean, I might animate it. I don't know, though. I haven't been keeping track of the storms, really, like I do the Northern Hemisphere. But speaking of animations, I have an animation upcoming soon. If I pull this up for you all. Because I know that some of you will be excited for this. The 2024 Pacific Typhoon Season animation releases in around 25 hours, 25 and a half hours. So tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time is when this storm will release. And that's American Eastern Standard Time, just to clarify. So that'd be around midnight, I believe. In the Philippines almost. So it'd be at nights, but within the next 26 hours, this animation will be releasing. So this is a big one. As you can see, the thumbnail shows Christine and Enteng, also known as Trammy and Yagi, some of the deadliest storms of the year, and most impactful, arguably. And yeah, also, just for those who are watching the stream, there is also going to be a North Indian Ocean animation coming out the following week. I haven't had it scheduled yet, but it is all ready to go. And I haven't told really anybody else. So yeah, just for a little sneak peek for all those who are, just a little heads up for those who are watching. And then there are going to be a lot of other animations, potentially 4 or 5 single storm animations coming out. One of them may or may not be Hurricane Irma. Version 3. So yeah, those are the animations that are upcoming, so be prepared for that. I may have to do an animation on this storm, of course. Once the storm finally finishes, we'll see how strong it gets. Are any of you all excited for the Western Pacific animation? Alright, let me keep reading the chat. Lee Baller says, responding to Grenadine's diss, that would be the crazy. Imagine tracking such a season with 9 Category 4s, or whatever it is. Yeah, that's insane. Shelby says, what category is the cyclone right now? Personally, I think it's a Category 1 right now. Officially, it's 75 knots, so that's around 85 miles an hour. I think it could be around 85, 90 miles an hour. And it does have time to intensify a little bit further. It could be maintaining intensity, but it has a bit more time to intensify. I'm going to increase that timer a bit because it's taking its sweet time. I'm going to increase it to around. I'm going to do 59 minutes, I think. But it is taking its time to intensify, so I don't know when exactly it's going to want to make its landfall. So it could strengthen to a Category 2 before it makes its landfall. I don't know. Remember, if you have any questions, you can be sure to ask. And if you aren't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe. That'd help out a lot. Whoops, I did that wrong. I'm just going to bring it down to 48, I guess. There we go. Alright. Yeah, Lee Bowler says 1. Yep, officially it's Category 1. January Cyclone. Yep. You were welcome. Also, somebody copied your icons. Are you talking about the animation that was like, but the storms talked? I haven't looked at that yet, but I'm fine with it. Honestly, you're adding something to it. There's a difference between blatantly stealing something, like if somebody just stole my animation completely, like some people have done that, where they'll just download the animation and upload it. What they're doing is they're adding text to my animation. Instead of it being like a satellite imagery, some of the hurricane season, but the storms talk, they'll just do satellite imagery. And for this one, they're just using my animation, which I see somewhat as a compliment because they're using my animation to do it. And there's lots of animations out there, so that's just how I see it. I'm not going to be rude and strike them down for it. I want them to have their fun with it. Shelby says, yeah, I'm excited for it. Shelby says, yeah, Western Pacific season animation, yep. So yeah, I'm excited to release that. Hopefully it does well. I have a lot of viewers from Vietnam and the Philippines who I bet would be loving to watch it. Shelby says, no way Dikeledi is going to go around Madagascar. It's got to hit Madagascar. I don't think it's going to miss it. It's already on the northern extent of the cone somewhere in here. So it should hit Madagascar. Oh, Shelby, I know what you're talking about, don't worry. I find it a bit funny. Oh, and also, if you are watching and aren't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Thank you all again so much for 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year, before Christmas. That was amazing. Never thought I'd be able to reach it then. Oops, just getting something ready. Alright. Oh, I know what I want to pull up. This. I'm seeing people saying that it could be 1 to 2 hours until it makes its landfall. I don't know exactly. I don't want to go too high. Shelby says, "Who is here after 3K subs?" No one right now. Lee Baller says Dikeledi's track is like a weak Freddy. I don't know about that. Kind of, I guess. Let me see, Dikeledi. Actually, hold on. Let me do 2024-25 Southwest Indian Ocean. Oh, geez, what the heck? I was not expecting that. I thought that was a completely different system. Wow, okay. Oh, yeah! Yeah, it's that one system. Oh, yeah, I remembered it. Wow, okay. Can't believe it's been tracking for that long. Elvis is going to be the next name. Alright. This year's been quite interesting already. 2 Category 4s. Well, Category 5 under our analysis for Cheeto. Shelby says it's weakening a little bit in the middle. What do you mean by that? Talking about the convection? Don't see much on that. Because right now it's doing another convective burst. You can see the clear boundary right here over the other one. So as the other one starts to fade away, the other one grows. Dark Steve says, yeah, 94S has been tracking for a while now. It's Dikeledi. Yep. Do you guys know how to pronounce the storm? I'm just curious. Because uh, I heard multiple different saying, or multiple different pronunciations. I don't know, really. Uh, Shelby gives the thinking emoji. Yep. Shelby says, is 2024 going to be a hyperactive or above normal? I think that you said the wrong year, maybe. I don't know if you accidentally said the wrong year. 2025 will be the world's year for real. I don't know. There's the possibility it's all just yeah, well, that's all just slop again. When I mean that, I mean just a lot of storms bust one after another. Alright. So remember, if you have any questions, you can be sure to ask. Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. Um, yeah, 2025. I don't know. It's anyone's guess, really. I try not to do too many climatology forecasts because a lot of them can just be outright wrong. Yep, Shelby says, "Bro, Dikeledi is bursting like a bomb." Yeah, you'll see it right there. Doing pretty good, and it's probably also because of the land of Madagascar, frictional convergence, that kind of stuff. You also got a lot of strong thunderstorms over here out west. Lee Bowler says, "It looks like the new burst on Dikeledi is slowly wrapping to the west." I don't see it really wrapping, I just see it expanding everywhere, if that makes sense. We have new thunderstorms appearing on Madagascar down here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna compare the two cones. Here, let me go to Meteo, France. Yeah, so the Meteo, France cone is still not really updated, I don't think. It does have the system getting way too close towards, how was I gonna say, towards Mozambique. It has it as like a 40% chance of a landfall, and then goes towards Madagascar. Compare that to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center cone, it threads the needle quite well. Shelby says all the storms intensify first on the east, then west, then rapidly and form an eye. Well, that's mainly due to sheared systems. Since I believe this is getting sheared right now, I'm going to pull up a better analysis on it. Alright, so here's the system on satellite. Let's take a look at its conditions it's going to go through. So first, let's go towards sea surface temperatures. Look at that, they get towards up to 30 degrees Celsius, some spots of 31 degrees Celsius, 29, 28, and at the end of the cone, it's still in at around 27 Celsius, 27 degrees Celsius waters. Really good. Okay, that doesn't work. Oceanic heat content doesn't work on here. Microwave, you can clearly see the storm right there. Its eye. And you can see how north it is compared to the forecast. Oops, how it kept going. Okay, no, wrong color. Oops, jeez, alright. Why can't I use this? Okay, guess not, but it goes more north than forecasted. Anyways, if we take a look at wind shear right now, yeah, I'll go back to satellite right here. I'll pull up shear. Let me take away the track and forecast. You can see, though, how there's around 20 to 30 knots of wind shear, which is starting to get to the point of unfavorable conditions. Because the winds are blowing the system. You can see how all the outflow or all the exhaust of the system's all towards the west side, not much here compared to where the center is because of that wind shear. And that is why microwave shows that the southern side is kind of busted open. You can see much more of the mass on the opposite side of the wind shear. They did have mid shear, which is interesting. Doesn't really show me much. Any good observations? Oh wow, we have 1,002 millibars over there. Then we have an observation up here. Up here, this station got winds of 25 miles an hour and gusts of up to 39 miles an hour. Pressure 1,002 millibars. Of course, pressure is beginning to lower. And so just to clarify, this line right here is pressure, and you can see it start to go down. Unfortunately, we don't have any radar, so we can't see too up-to-date information. So my apologies that this is going a little bit slow. If you want me to cover anything again, be sure to ask. That'd be very helpful. I love answering questions. Lee Baller says Dikeledi looks better now, though. Yeah, I mean, it's fighting the shear pretty well. It's probably due to it getting closer to Madagascar, so the convection just wants to explode. Invalid sector, okay. Convection has waned a bit recently. But there should be a new burst anytime to replace it. You'll see when the other one started fading, a new one just came out. JC Games says, what are those spikes it has to the southeast on satellite? Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. These things right here. Is that correct? check. Because there are multiple kind of things that could be considered spikes. Shelby says all the storms do that on southeast to northeast with lines. Yep. Alright, so basically what that is, they're outflow bands, basically outflow channels, whatever. It's mainly just outflow of the system's upper, like very high up. The system's trying to let out exhaust, basically. It's basically just the convective burst trying to fade away. I know it has to do much more with shear as well. That shear's fighting against it. So that's why it gives that spike-like shape. Notice how you don't see it on here? It's just on the side that it's finding the shear. But you can clearly tell where all the shear is, or because of all the clouds over here. If I zoom out even further, you can see how big the system's getting on the western side, northwestern side of all this, and then there's your outflow right over here. Yep. Usagi Ophel did that. Yep. You were right. Most storms like to do that. Super Typhoon High-End says, hello everyone, how are you doing? We're just chilling out, waiting until it makes its landfall. Which it should do eventually. I don't know about the next 30 minutes, though. It's taking its sweet time. So just trying to get something to work real quick. Uh, hmm. Do this instead. Man, okay, I thought I did this before. Oh, I think I know what I need to search up. Nope, okay. Sorry, I was just searching up something off screen. Alright. Ian says I've canceled my 2026 hypo. Why is that? Shelby says I was planning to make a hypothetical Western Pacific. Maybe 15 minutes. So, for me, I will be making a hypothetical animation, potentially, of course, in the Atlantic and Western Pacific again, just because of how well they did last year, with potentially a lot more stronger storms. We'll see how it goes. Oh, but yeah, you can see the spikiness right here just again. I want to point that out. And notice how you don't see it over here because this has good outflow. Just rushes out. But this can't really escape much. What's the radar Cyclone Dikeledi right now? We don't have radar, unfortunately. But an example of what radar would look like is here's microwave showing the storm. And this is from a while ago, just to clarify. This is like 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago almost, on where it was. And you can kind of see the overall structure. The southern eye wall isn't really that great. Fortunately, we don't have radar, so we'll have to make do. Shelby says, I already know you, Chase. You're going to make all the storms Cat 5. I don't know. We'll see. Alright. And GC Game says, wow, Dikeledi is massive. Eh, relatively speaking, of course on satellite it looks large. Relatively speaking, it's quite a small system. Not much overall. Wind field is kind of small. It's not really that large. Really, it's a compact system, mostly down to this size. Just remember, relatively speaking. There are some storms that are like twice as big, 3 times as big as this storm. JC Game says the clouds is racing toward or reaching Tanzania. If they're racing towards Tanzania right over there. And that's the outflow of it. Of course, there's not really any rain or anything. That's just the wispy clouds you'll see in the sky. Can sometimes be from the tropical cyclones. I'm looking at this. That's quite cool. This stuff. Anyways. Also, you can see some thunderstorms bursting over western, central Madagascar. And a lot of more thunderstorms beginning to burst. And you can see them burst at around the same time the storm itself burst. They all fire all at once. Pretty much. Of course, that's bad because these thunderstorms are being funneled towards Madagascar. But yeah, you can see these thunderstorms over west central Madagascar. Over there, bursting really strong. It's so far away from the storm you can't even see it on there. Now this is a very powerful storm. It has an overshooting top right here. Shelby says, I'm questioning this since I learned to walk or whatever. Why is Typhoon Haiyan only 1,200 miles big? What do you mean by that? Only is a is an interesting word to use when talking about Haiyan. Haiyan was a very massive storm. If you can compare it to Katrina. Okay, there's the radar imagery on it. JC Games says, Chase, can those storms over Madagascar produce tornadoes? Totally possible. They shouldn't be strong, though. It's more so just thunderstorms. It'd mainly be, I believe, the southeast side that have all the potential tornadoes and stuff like that. But really, I don't see much on this side, per se. But these are mostly their typical thunderstorms. It's all moisture stuff. If you take a look at Africa, you can see all the thunderstorms bursting there. If I go to the previous day, you can see the same kind of thunderstorms over Madagascar and the day before, the day before. It's just their typical stuff they get. Shelby says, according to AI, it's only 1,200. I mean, that's still pretty large. Size does not always correlate to intensity. Yeah, tornadoes on Madagascar are extremely rare. Or rare, yep. JC Game says, oh, okay, yep. Um, Shelby says, infrared satellite on Windy is bugging. The country's outlines disappear. Oh yeah, I kind of see that a bit. Lee Bowler says 15 minutes until landfall. I don't know. Gonna increase it again. I'm not so sure when it's gonna make its landfall. Uh, it is almost an hour ago. They said an hour, so probably within the next hour now, I'd guess. Hard trying to figure out where the eye is exactly. Probably somewhere here. And this imagery is around 30 minutes out of date. Well, says, did it slow down? Why is it taking us so long? Well, yeah, it was expected to make landfall almost 2 hours ago. And Shelby says maybe 5 hours until landfall. Dark Steve says Dikeledi will make its landfall in 7 days, it seems. Yep. Yeah, it's taking a while. And also, it's because it's moving more north. The coastline bends back as it goes north, so that's why it has less. Hmm. Nah, 1 month, Shelby says. Yep. But yeah, at this time, some cyclone force winds could be already occurring on the coast. Oh, we got a new thunderstorm developing on northwestern Madagascar. We got lots of thunderstorms developing west of the storm. Probably a part of a band of some sort. A band that's sticking out like this. I think Microwave suggested something like that. Yep, there it is. Lee Bowler says, I wish we had radar in Madagascar. Would have been nice. Yeah, I mean, it's a poorer country, so I can understand why they don't have it. But it is very important. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, we'll probably see a landfall potentially within the next 25 minutes. I'm probably going to take a 5 minute break real quick. If that's alright, and I'll be right back. I'll have something up. Hello, hello. I am back. Let's see. Um, Shelby says it's all blue, but yellow is 30 dBz, but it doesn't show. What do you mean by that with your radar? Elite says, is wind shear stopping it from intensifying further? It's making it maintain intensity or barely strengthen. It's trying to. I mean, it's not really weakening it, but it's trying to prevent it from intensifying. But I mean, the storm's doing pretty well. I mean, these are some powerful convective bursts that it's had recently. So I don't think it's really not intensifying. It's almost made its landfall, so maybe. And I believe convection's weakening some recently. Yep, there it goes. You don't see any more of those purplish colors. Of course, I mean, like, that's insanely powerful. Cloud tops were like 96. Let me try and get to it. They're upwards of 96.64 degrees Celsius, minus 90. So negative 96.64 degrees Celsius, so those were incredibly powerful cloud tops. But now it's weakened down to around minus 89 Celsius, so. Eh. Lee Baller says, my favorite basins are North Atlantic, Western Pacific, and Southwest Indian Ocean. Yeah, I mean, those are the most interesting, probably. I like all basins. They're all unique. Lee Bowler says, excited for the Western Pacific animation. Don't forget there's going to be a North Indian Ocean one right after. Shelby says, I think when the storm weakens, wind shear can just suck the storm, making them go on wind shears. I don't know what you mean by that. Hey, keep in mind, though, the storm structure is going to look very different once it enters the Mozambique Channel. Because it's going to have to go through around 50 miles of potentially mountainous terrain in northern Madagascar. So that could rip up the structure. It's already pretty fragile, especially on the southern side. And as soon as it goes over water, the water could try and tug it over there. So it could tug it south, could tug it north. We don't know exactly what it's going to try and do. I think more so tugging it south would be the more likely solution. And that will affect what the storm ultimately does in the Mozambique Channel. Keep in mind, it is also moving slower than forecast. It's supposed to be over here in 90 minutes, and the center's somewhere over here, so I don't think that that's gonna verify. Game over. You know. Anyways, one of the big things on why the storm could intensify so much is because of the oceanic heat content and how warm the waters are. They're around 30 degrees Celsius, which is very warm and very conducive for rapid intensification, even extreme or explosive intensification. But oceanic heat content in this area, well, also it's mainly here, is very high. Out of the entire Southwest Indian Ocean, this area has like the most amount of oceanic heat content. This is the border, by the way, like where the Southwest Indian Ocean is. This is too far north; no systems use it. There's some warmth over here, but that gets counteracted by shear. This is really the only area that storms can really explode properly without the best conditions, is what I'm saying. This is a very big area for make or break because wind shear can tear up the storm, land can tear up the storm, or it can stay away and then explosively intensify before hitting land or something like that. Example: imagine Dikel or Dikeledi, Dikeledi goes south and weakens. The wind shear there sucks it, making it go south and dissipates. Wind shear doesn't really suck the storm at all. It's just it blows the clouds away. Seems like Becky became a Cat 4 in low seas temperatures. Yep. Sea surface temperatures aren't everything. Sometimes you just need a really good environment with low wind shear. Um, Shelby says jet streams. Yep. That's what this storm's going to go through, is a jet interaction eventually. Can show that to you over here. Sorry. Sorry about that sneeze. Try to. Damn, okay. Sorry about that. Try to hold a sneeze. My god. I am so sorry about that. Shelly says I laughed right. Sounded like an elephant. I'm so sorry. My god. Thank you. Alright. I was trying to mute the stream before I sneezed, so I was trying to hold it in, and of course that didn't go so well. Because of course there's no noise suppression on this, on what I'm using to stream, so you can hear everything. You can hear all my clicks. So it's like, so I try and make it easier on you. So man, that did not go well. Alright, thank you. Thankfully there weren't many people on stream, it's just really you two. Alright, Lee Bowler says, didn't Ian 2022 have Jetstream too? Yep, a lot of storms, a lot of powerful storms use the Jetstream to quickly intensify. If I go to 200 millibar here, this doesn't really show it as well. Oh wait, we're getting a new run over here on the halves. That's nice. Okay, this might show it some. Nope, parents is what I meant. Let's see, so kind of. But yeah, here's the jet interaction right over here. You can see the outflow aiding right there. So just, it sucks out all the clouds or heat, exhaust, so it can keep building and intensifying. So we could see some further strengthening as it gets towards Madagascar. You can see the pressure lowering from the 980s to 970s, almost 960s. Gets down to 972 before it starts weakening. I'm gonna see what people are saying about Landfall, because we should be pretty close. We have to be. Alright, I don't really see much people saying like, oh, it's made landfall. Right now, though, you can clearly see all the wind shear just pushing the system that way. Then it gets more favorable once it reaches the center of the Mozambique Channel, and then it gets towards the jet interaction. It's just like you can really see all the exhaust basically just funneling out of the system. Alright. I saw people talking about the fact that there could be something in the Australian region. Let's take a look at some of those ensembles. Here's the American model, wanting something to do. Oh, well. Okay, so this is the new American model. Ooh, let's see what it wants what it wants the system to do now. So for comparison, this one was the previous run, wanting the system to make landfall in Mozambique and then weaken and then have a jet interaction intensify once again. So let's compare that to the new run that's just come out. It wants it to narrowly avoid Mozambique, and then once again become a cyclone thanks to the jet interaction, and it wants another storm to develop right in there. Probably convective feedback. I doubt that that's going to happen. Anyways, let's go over towards the Australian region and take a look at some of the ensembles here. I'm going to go for the European ensembles. And they want something brief hitting Australia, so that's something we'll need to look out for. Western Territory, I believe. Is it Northwest, or what is it? Western Australia, okay. What are you saying, Shelby? Sorry. I do not see that at all. Interesting to note, 97S had a little bit of a convective burst recently. Of course, it's not doing too well. Just a little blob there. Pita isn't doing too well, starting to go towards the Cook Islands. I don't know how that's going to end up. So I mean, it's pretty nice that we only have 3 systems to watch, really, and maybe a 4th one in the future. Oh, how's that Eastern Pacific system doing? Ooh, pretty good circulation there. This is what could have been a tropical depression. I've been seeing people talk about this. I know that this is going to be a little bit of a shock to you. Like, wait, what tropical depression in the Eastern Pacific? Or right in here. It had an organized low-level circulation. It did have sustained convection for a bit before losing it. And now it's just a naked circulation. But you can pretty much tell that that's an organized circulation right now. Yep. Main thing is, will there be more convection to fire on it, or will it just be a naked circulation? What are your all thoughts on it? Do you think it was a tropical depression or no? its phase was mainly right here and before. Right there. So you can take your. I'd love to take your opinions. Now, it's not subtropical. It's near 4 degrees latitude, so it isn't very close to the equator. Nothing with fronts or anything like that that is deeply tropical. Basically, do you all think that was a tropical depression, or do you think it doesn't meet the requirements? Shelby says, I think tropical depression. Alright. What about all of you? The other three of you? This would, of course, be in my next year's animation if this was a storm. Yes, tropical depression. Alright. Elite says, is the Medi Sea getting any storms soon? I believe that there was something over there. This mess right here could become something. I noticed some models wanted it. So let's go and take a deeper dive into it. The American model, not really anything. There's something over there, but that's not really anything tropical, I don't think. I don't know. So I doubt it's anything. If I go to more models like the European, not really anything. German model, not anything. Which, this is the model that typically wants to spin off stuff. But then the Canadian model, still nothing really. Could be something right there, but that's about it. Roller says looks better than Yaku 2023. But yeah, that wasn't something officially in the eastern, like northeastern Pacific. Uh, so yeah, I'm probably going to declare landfall pretty soon, I think. Do you all think I should wait or no? I am going to call it. Landfall. Okay, so Cyclone Dikeledi has made a landfall finally as a Category 1, probably around 80 knots, or around 90 miles an hour. Mr. Peach says good morning. Good morning. You came here a little bit late. Yeah, good afternoon. Uh, JC Game says, are major hurricanes possible in the Mediterranean? Well, Force 13 has a major hurricane there. They do have a major hurricane in the analyzed there, I believe. Someone joined the call? Nope, okay, sorry. Thought I heard someone in here. I was like, wait, is somebody in the call? Nope. It appears, though, that the system has likely made its landfall. It's going to continue moving inland. I'll try and give you all like a 5-minute summary around the world, and then I'll hop off. So starting from least important to most important. Least important, we have 97S, which is just going to be out to sea and just die out, really not impact anything. Then we go on to PETA, which is currently impact. Okay, jeez, alright. Zoom Earth. If I go over to PETA. Oh my, wow, okay. PETA is currently a tropical storm, most likely, and is going to be heading out to sea and dissipating pretty soon, opening up into like a trough or something like that. Nothing to be too concerned about. Really, only impacting the Cook Islands with some showers. Now, going over to the next kind of most important, we have something that could potentially form in the Australian region and impact Western Australia. We'll have to look at that pretty closely. Mainly anywhere in here should be looking out for it over the next 7 days. Then, of course, our most important system is Dikeledi, which has made landfall in Madagascar. Now, I'd give it around a 5% chance that we'll be streaming. Here, I need to change the time real quick just so I can see what I'm talking about. Alright. Now, I'd give it around a 5% chance that we'd be streaming sometime on tomorrow morning. If it impacts Mayotte as a direct landfall, let's say it's going very far north and it decides to make landfall there, then we'll do a stream on that. I'd give it also around a 5% chance, probably 10% chance that we'll be streaming sometime on early Monday morning. Like very, very early. No, Shelby, it didn't make landfall as a major, so no landfall sound. And then going forward in time, there's probably around I'd give it around a 25-30% chance so far that we'd be streaming sometime on Wednesday morning, sometime throughout the day on Wednesday. Probably a 30 to 40% chance that we'll be streaming on Wednesday. Kind of hard to tell because it could go too far west. Say a 5% chance on Monday or 5% chance on Sunday. Let's say around a 5% chance on Monday and then around a 40% chance on Wednesday. If that makes any sense. Category 1 landfall sound. Nope, there isn't any sound for that. Yeah, just a reminder though, animations are coming out throughout the next 3 Sundays. Pretty epic animations, be prepared for those. Could be doing an animation on this pretty soon, we'll see. Just mark your calendars because within the next 24 hours or so there will be the Western Pacific animation releasing. So be prepared for that. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see. Stay safe. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next storm.